Hello, Broken Arrow. This is City Council Rewind. I am Aaron McCulloch, Director of Communications for the City of Broken Arrow, and this is Councilor David Pickle. Councilor Pickle, how are you?
I'm doing well this morning. Thank you much. You know, I heard on the radio this morning today marked 100 days till Christmas. So just get ready for the Hallmark movies and Hobby Lobby Christmas because it's around the corner.
And that's amazing because last night at the council meeting, we talked a little bit about our Christmas in Broken Arrow celebration that we have. And I know Councilor Green said something about Hobby Lobby already has its Christmas decorations out. So,
that's right.
And we're just barely into September, it feels like.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
It's amazing. So the meeting last night, one of the big impact items that I wanted to talk about because it seemed to steer most of the conversation toward was this potential eighth proposition that could potentially appear on the ballot in April of 2026 when voters go to the polls to vote on the general obligation bond initiative that we're currently in the process of planning right now. For folks that don't know, right now, this GO Bond project, this is for capital improvements to improve, street widenings, public safety, some parks and recreation amenities, public facilities, that sort of thing. And we're right now in the middle of some bond forums that we're having with the community. These are paid through property taxes, and that's based on the net assessed value of property, of real property within Broken Arrow. We have a capacity $400 million with this next bond, and that $400 million keeps those property tax rates the same. So there won't be any increase there.
Exactly.
The problem that we're running into right now, and it's a good problem, if you will, is that we have about $600 million of projects that are being considered, but we need to get them down to about 200. And so folks vote individually on each of these propositions whenever they go out. That $400 million is dispersed, not necessarily equally amongst those propositions, because we do have to give weight to priority and impact on the number of people that are using each of these propositions, if you will.
Exactly.
And so there's some thought, there's some consideration out there that we have an eighth proposition. And this one would be to fund improvements to our sports facilities here in Broken Arrow. And these would help benefit our youth organizations from soccer, softball, football, baseball, that sort of thing, adult softball, for improvements to Indian Springs Sports Complex, Arrowhead Park, Neen House. Talk just a little bit about this. What city administration, what city council is considering with this potential eighth proposition?
Sure. So when we're talking about the new proposition that we're looking at, back in 2018 with the GO bond, one of the things was community center, and Broken Arrow expressed they would like to have a community center. Well, how much South Broken Arrow has grown, that would be a great place to put it now. How are those funds at the GO bond in 2018 are not necessarily going to cover the cost for one in 2025.
That's right, because back then, in 2018, that proposition was only allocated $17.7 million.
Right.
It was a $211 million package of propositions. 17.7 went to Parks and Recreation.
Exactly.
But from our cost estimates, and especially with construction going up as far as increasing costs, we're realizing that new community center is around $55 million.
Exactly.
So more than double of what we were able to allocate in 2018.
Right, exactly. So that was one of the things is in looking at that and understanding what the citizens of Broken Arrow are wanting when it comes to maybe that community center down on the south end of town. But also when you think about Broken Arrow and our sports complex, like you were saying, whether it's Indian Springs or Challenger, Neen House, those. So Broken Arrow is actually falling a little bit behind. I know lighting, turf, rain causes challenges, those types of things.
This proposition is being considered to help improve a lot of those amenities to help really enhance that fan experience while you're watching your kids play.
Right. And that's one of the key things going back to the economic impact, because, if they are able to go have a great fan experience at our facilities, they're going to want to come back and they're going to spend their dollars at our hotels or at our restaurants or, what other places they might need to go. And we're able to keep that money in Broken Arrow. So it is a nice return on investment from that standpoint as well.
So let's talk about the funding and how this proposition would be different from the other 7 propositions that are likely to be on that ballot, whereas those first 7 would be funded through property tax, and like we mentioned earlier, it wouldn't be an increase in the property tax rate. This one would be funded separately. Would be funded a little bit
Correct.
differently. It'd be funded through sales tax through a temporary 5-year. So it would only be 5 years. A temporary 5-year, half of 1 cent sales tax increase. Talk to me just a little bit about that. Why we doing it? Why we would be considering doing it that way?
Well, you have a few things. So when you think about the general obligation bond that's coming up, that does not impact our taxes. That's being able to be done without any increase in taxes. However, some of those items that are on the GO bond, it may not happen for 7, 8, 9, 10 years down the road. When you have something like this proposition number 8, you can start seeing returns immediately, and it does have an end date. So after 5 years, it would stop. But that way, you're able to say, okay, well, if we're able to pass this and move forward with it, then I could see my kids playing on new fields. I could be going to places where there's new lighting, new parking, all that, and not having to wait maybe 7 or 8 years down the road. You can see something immediate from that 5-year proposition.
Looking at my notes from last night, and just want to get some particulars out there. So we already talked about it'd be a temporary sales tax increase of half of 1 cent, 5 years, and then it would be sunset. Here we go. Excuse me. That sales tax would go directly towards all of the facility improvements that we've talked about.
Exactly.
$52 million worth of improvements. And so again, that would be collected within that 5 years. And we want to hear from the people.
Exactly.
As well. So we're going to have a survey.
Right.
That was also brought up last night during the meeting, is that we, just like we've done with some of these other propositions in the past, we've gone to Broken Arrow citizens and asked them for their thoughts, and we want their thoughts with this one. And that survey is going to be launched on September 22nd. It'll go for 3 weeks. You all talked last night as a governing body about the importance of these surveys, how much you appreciate the engagement of the citizens, having taken these surveys. Just reiterate just how important it is for people to have their voice heard.
Oh, definitely. It's extremely important because we want to be as transparent as, we want transparency is the number one priority, in our city government. And we need to hear back from the citizens when it does come to what are their opinions, what are they wanting to see. So if you can, be sure and take that micro survey. It's going to be a short one. Shouldn't take just maybe a couple of minutes at the most to be able to do. But I highly want to emphasize the need for that survey to be done so we can get an idea of what are the citizens of Broken Arrow thinking when it comes to a proposition like this.
There were many other items on the agendas, and for more information, you can go to the city website and click on Agendas and Minutes in the Government section. Click on the date range drop-down list and then select the governing body. Find the meeting date of your choice and select the meeting details. Now, it wasn't all about the proposition last night. There were some great things, some great organizations, some great initiatives that were brought up in the presentations that, I'd love to be able to highlight with you. We recognize Gold Star families. Next week is Remembrance Week. Why was this so important?
Broken Arrow, in my opinion, is one of the most veteran-friendly cities, and we care about our veterans. And part of that does come into, Gold Star families. That's incorporated with that. And when we think about the Gold Star Family Remembrance Week, we really want to emphasize the sacrifices that these families have made. And that's one of the things we want to recognize it. We want to continue to show our veterans how much we love them, how much we care for those families. And I believe it was the Daughters of the American Revolution
I believe
that proposed that, yes, as well, and brought that over. So we really appreciate that.
And there's a nice commemorative plaque at Veterans Park there as part of the Mission 22 Memorial.
Yes.
That honors Gold Star families.
Yes.
So if you're looking for a way to support Gold Star families, just by going out and observing that is one way that you can do it. Director of Solid Waste and Recycling, Jerry Schuber, had a nice little presentation where he recognized the 25-year partnership that the Met has had here with our citizens of Broken Arrow. This is a fantastic partnership for our city, and just talk a little bit about this.
Yeah, so Jerry, definitely came out. He had a nice sign that's going to be put out celebrating. It's almost like a happy birthday banner out of the Met celebrating those 25 years. And as he was going through it, the facility continues to be upgraded. It's been painted. They continue to make it a nice place to come, drop off your recycling, And then if you think about the millions of pounds of stuff that they said they have collected over that 25 years, it's pretty staggering. And definitely recommend, that citizens of Broken Arrow recycle as much as they can.
And here's to another 25 years.
Exactly.
Speaking of years of service, let's transition over to City Manager Michael Spurgeon. He just celebrated his 10 years here with the city, and council did a plaque for him. Representative Ford did a citation. Pretty impressive to be a city manager in one particular city for 10 years.
Michael Spurgeon has such a heart and love for Broken Arrow, and he's a wonderful man. And, it's one of those things where, like you were saying, 10 years is a long time anymore in the same position. And that is definitely something that needed to be acknowledged and celebrated.
And finally, there was a ceremony, if you will, a very small, kind of informal ceremony about the presentation of the Muskogee Nation flag, and that will be displayed on city facilities here in Broken Arrow. City Council passed an ordinance, I guess it was a couple of meetings ago, that made this possible. Why is it important for us to display the Muskogee Nation flag?
Well, and with that, so Broken Arrow is on Muskogee Creek Nation land, and so we wanted to recognize that, and we will have the Muskogee Creek Nation flag in our city council chambers, as well as out in front of City Hall and other city facilities as well. It was a very moving experience last night when they came and did the land acknowledgement, and from what I understand, we are the first city in Oklahoma to do that type of recognition for the Muskogee Creek Nation.
And I can't remember if it was Chief Hill or if it was the speaker for the Muskogee Nation said something that I thought was very poignant. And he said, we're white, we're black, we're red, but we're all Oklahomans.
That's right, exactly.
And so that really talks to your point about how Broken Arrow is in Muskogee Nation.
Right.
And so it just makes sense.
Makes sense, for sure.
Councilor Pickle, thank you for joining us today.
Welcome.
Appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
And we will see you next time for City Council Rewind.
Thank you for watching. This is a production of the City of Broken Arrow, the city where opportunity lives.